President Muhammadu Buhari approves release of 12,000 metric tons of food items to cushion the effect of food flood in the country. Euro-Asia markets head for lower open as investors monitor recession risk. China holds medium-term rates. And on commodity watch, gold prices rise as US dollar yields retreat. This is Business Express on the network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Now let's bring you up to speed with business development. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics indicates that the headline inflation rate for September is 20.77%, 4.14% higher compared to September 2021. On a month-on-month basis, the headline inflation rate in September 2022 was 1.36%. This was 0.41% lower than the rate recorded in August 2022. This means that in the month of September 2022, the headline inflation rate month-on-month basis declined by 0.41% compared to August 2022. NBS says likely factors responsible for the decline in the monthly inflation rate over the past 2 months is due to the present harvest season, while likely factors responsible for the increase in annual inflation rate is disruption in the supply of food products, increase in import costs due to the persistent currency depreciation, and general increase in the cost of production. The United Nations has called on all member nations to adopt climate-smart agriculture as the only way to improve global food production and hunger eradication. Nigeria has, however, been commended for her food production policy in spite of the socio-economic and security challenges.
Today, 150 million more women than men are facing food insecurity.
The operators in this year's theme provide a pathway through which we can transform agri-food systems by implementing sustainable and holistic solutions that consider development in the long term, inclusive economic growth, and greater resilience.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the release of the 12,000 metric tons of food items to cushion the effect of flood in the country. The food items are to be released from the National Strategic Reserve to the National Emergency Management for distribution. In the meantime, the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development says the number of deaths as a result of flood has risen to 600 as at last week, with 132 million displaced and 121 houses partially or totally destroyed. The First Lady of the Gambia, Fatimata Barrow, is seeking the support of Nigeria to develop the economy of the Gambia towards creating more international access for the West African nation. Comfort Amadou reports that Fatimatu sought the support while appreciating the Nigerian Export Promotion Council and SMEDEN for organizing the ongoing Nigeria-Gambia MSMEs exhibition in the in Banjul, which she says will strengthen Gambia's trade capacity.
If we want this relationship to continue, that's the way forward.
Minister Search and taking back home is the need for Nigerians to invest in Gambia, because I know by the time we start coming here, we are going to facilitate and encourage trade, and we are going to synergize our relationship as brothers.
Having signed deals worth more than $30 million between business organizations in Nigeria and Egypt in the just concluded Nigeria-Egypt Trade Conference, the federal government, in collaboration with the private sector, is set to take advantage of business opportunities around trade and services sector, with special interest in Egypt's blue economy. Benny Adams has the details.
The Suez Canal and its economic zones are together a body of wealth that puts food on the table of millions around the world. It allows the flow of revenue through and from Egypt, and Nigeria seeks to be by tapping into this enormous source of wealth.
And I think with the advent of the Pan-African payment system, e-commerce is going to be the in thing. Already, a lot of our young people, MSMEs in particular, rely on e-commerce. You know, you place your order for things and these things come in. And I know that a lot of trade in pharmaceuticals is happening between our two countries.
And for the business community, the canal is an economic leap to the full actualization of the African continental market, the AFCFTA.
Nigeria has both comparative and competitive advantage in services sector. So I believe that the service sector is something that we can take back home as something we can gain from what I can see in Egypt. The architecture is fine, the education service is good, the medical service is okay, as all these things are packaged in the African continental free trade area.
Already we have so many companies doing business in Nigeria, and it is just with the advent of the Business Council that Nigerian companies are looking forward to doing business in Egypt too. So I'm calling for the two countries through their ambassadors to encourage the business concern, and also that we can do credible business between each other.
The canal is an international economic zone that links the Red Sea with the Mediterranean. It comprises of economic and logistic zones, 6 major ports, industries, road networks, and airports. It offers zero customs duties on raw materials, up to 50% discount on maritime services to more than 100 million consumers. It also incorporates more than 1.6 billion consumers in addition to free trade agreements and free vocation training, among other incentives.
After 4 days of brainstorming on the economies of Nigeria as well as Egypt, the key takeaway is Nigeria is a resource base, while Egypt has a technical know-how that will help harness the trade and services potential of both countries to increase their volume of trade. From the Suez Canal, Cairo, Egypt, Benny Adams, NTA News.
Well, thank you, Benny Adams. Conversations on how to facilitate integrated trade and investment on the African continent dominated the just concluded Nigeria-Egypt Trade Conference in Cairo. Joining the conversation virtually, it's Mahmoud Ahmadu. He is the president of Nigeria-Egypt Cultural and Socio-Economic Forum. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, well, let's now begin. You hosted the biggest first ever Nigeria-Egypt Business Forum that attracted businesses from both countries. How would you describe the engagement?
Well, thank you very much for the question. You see, it has been a long journey for all of us. We have come a long way trying to engage different stakeholders from both countries, which is Nigeria and Egypt. And Alhamdulillah, it has happened now. The whole idea of organizing this forum started when we visited series of visits to the ambassador of Nigeria in Egypt, which is Ambassador Nurarini. And at the end of the day, we also realized the undeniable trade tie between the two countries, which makes it necessary for us to engage to be able to host this kind of a forum, which happens to be the first forum that has taken place despite the relationship on business relationship that we have between Nigeria and Egypt for over 60 years. By so doing, I think we spoke to quite large number of people both in Nigeria and in Egypt and trying to understand what exactly do they need and what type of value will this bilateral platform will give them. And based on that, we now created an agenda. And based on the agenda, we were able to come up with a fruitful event which become the first goal or the first part of winning our mission.
Okay, I understand that Nigeria and Egypt, the trade relations in between the two countries, it's if I'm to quantify it in terms of money, is around $200 million. Are you seeking to actually improve that with what you have so far, the conference that has taken place there?
Okay, yeah, you're right. We have emphasized that in the forum as well. You see, with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement provided, and with the enabling environment and the framework as well, I think if we have a support from both governments, I think that will take us a long way. We at NextSafe, we were able to provide, and we have a large number of members so far, we were able to provide a detailed step-by-step in which this business should be, will have a tie between Nigerians and Egypt in the business field. And you see, what we need more so as we should improve this thing, I think the take home on it is that we definitely need to increase the volume. And what does it require? It requires more effort, time, and more importantly, just an understanding, manual understanding between the two countries. With that, I'm sure sky is going to be the limit.
Okay, and what would you say are the takeaways from the conference?
Okay, we have quite a little bit of takeaways that I can see in this conference that provided that I think will support both Nigerians and Egyptians in trying to work together. You see, the fact that Africa has the resources, it needs human capital to develop the continent and compete with any other continent in the world. The Egyptian business community, as well as the Nigerian, are very well receptive in this program that I have seen. And I can see a lot of people partnering during the business forums. A lot of conversation has been going on. And what I would say, I believe Nigeria can gain a lot from Egypt. Indeed, vice versa.
Okay, but particularly what areas of interest are you looking at? What areas of interest will Nigeria be taking advantage in Nigeria-Egypt relationship?
Okay, you see, when it comes to terms of like technology, it comes to infrastructure, agriculture, I think there's a lot for Nigeria to benefit out of that.
Thank you very much, Um, uh, uh, Mahmoud Ahmadu, President and Vice President, Nigeria-Egypt Cultural and Socio-Economic Forum.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, gold prices gain on Monday as oil prices steady. They said more after the break.
The Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDA, is a one-stop shop for micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. Established by an Act of Parliament in 2003, SMEDA has over the years supported and empowered MSMEs to start business and stand on their own. Our core mandate includes initiating and articulating policy ideas for small and medium enterprises growth and development, promoting and facilitating development programs for MSMEs, and providing support services to accelerate the development and modernization of MSMEs operations. Come to SMEDA today and start a small business. Think big, start small. For further information, please visit our website www.smedan.gov.ng or our social media handles. You can also visit any of our state offices nationwide.
Still watching Business Express. Now let's look at the energy market. Oil prices were steady on Monday as China's continuation of loose monetary policy was offset by fears that high inflation and energy costs could drag the global economy into recession. Brent crude futures rose 50 cents to $92.13 a barrel, recovering from a 6.4% fall last week. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $86.06 a barrel, up 43 cents after a 7.6% decline last week. Gold prices gained on Monday, helped by a slight pullback in the U.S. dollar and Treasury yields, even as fears lingered about more hefty Federal Reserve rate hikes to tame soaring inflation. Let's take a look at prices of other commodities in the markets. Now investors gain 119 billion naira in 1 week. More on the market in the week ended with Bosside Abel.
The markets opened for 4 trading days last week as the federal government of Nigeria declared Monday 10th October 2022 a public holiday to commemorate 2022 Eid el-Maulud celebration. The NGX all-share index and market capitalization appreciated by 0.46% to close the week at 47,569.04 basis points, with market capitalization at 25.9 trillion naira. All other indices finished higher, with the exception of NGX Premium, NGX Consumer Goods, and NGX Oil and Gas, which depreciated. At a turnover of 491,815 million shares, worth 11.9 billion naira in 14,350 deals was traded in the week by investors on the floor of the exchange. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 346.6 million shares valued at 3.7 billion naira traded in 7,427 deals. The ICT industry followed with 40.4 million shares worth 3.9 billion naira in 1,060 deals. The third place was the conglomerate industry. Trading in the top 3 equities, Guaranty Trust Holding Company, Mutual Benefits Assurance, and FBN Holdings accounted for 211 million shares worth 2.4 billion naira in 2,834 deals. A total of 1,192 units of exchange traded product TTPs valued at million naira were traded in the week in 28 deals, as well as a total of 13,882 units of federal government bonds valued at 13.8 million naira were traded in the week in 12 deals. 25 equities appreciated in price during the week, 24 equities depreciated